Hi, I'm Tanic Sims 2, but you can call me Tanny, and welcome to the third installment of the Sims 2 Corruption Chronicles. Today, we're heading to Strangetown for the second part of my How Corrupt Are the Premade Hoods Anyway series. You should probably get some snack, or heck, even a full 3-course meal ready, because this is going to be a big one. In fact, I've decided to split this video into at least 2 parts, just so I can cover pretty much everything in a decent amount of detail without having to upload a feature-length film, because there is just a lot of things wrong here. I explained what hood corruption is in more detail in the first video, but just to recap, hood corruption in The Sims 2 occurs when data specific to a certain hood, such as sim data, is missing or not properly contained or assigned. The pre-made hoods, particularly the 3 that ship with the base game, come with corruption built in already. You may be aware of this already, especially if you're sat here watching this video, but this series hopes to explore each neighbourhood in depth and explain what all the problems are. So, as the title asks, how corrupt is Strangetown anyway? The simple answer is very. Alright, well, thanks for watching. Okay, seriously though, Strangetown has a reputation for being the most corrupted of all the pre-made hoods because it was essentially a testing ground during development. Every possible VBT was probably done in this hood, whether intentionally or unintentionally. Whilst hoods like Pleasantview and even Veronaville to some extent were updated prior to the game's release, Strangetown contains a lot of outdated data on top of all the missing and corrupted data. I will explain what this means later. As a result, it's not in great shape. It would be a quicker video to list what's not broken in Strangetown, but that wouldn't be very interesting now, would it? I've tried to cover everything from the more well-known corruption to some lesser talked about glitches, but as always, please let me know if there's anything I've missed or if there's anything in particular you're interested in hearing more about. Similar to the Pleasantview video, let's start with the main cause for corruption in the Sims 2 pre-made hoods: dead ancestral sims. Like with the ancestral sims in Pleasantview, many ancestral sims, these are the sims who appear in playable sims family trees as parents and grandparents, do not have graves and were simply given death tokens, meaning they are unaccounted for and missing their character data. They also may have been damaged or even deleted in development. And as we know, deleting sims is a VBT. Also keep in mind that prior to university, players could not easily resurrect sims in-game, and so these dead sims were never intended to be played, which may explain why they were never given proper data in the first place, or even kept updated throughout the process, or, well, fixed, if the data they were given blew up whilst the game was still in alpha. Unlike Pleasantview's ancestral sims, however, the majority of Strangetown's dead residents come with oddities, especially when it comes to their appearances. For example, let's look at Loki and Erin Beaker's ancestors. All of them have a corrupted, though not in the glitchy, deformed way we'll get onto in just a moment, face. You can tell if an ancestral sim has this type of corrupted face by looking at their thumbnail. They will have no eyebrows and brown eyes, even if their actual genetic eye colour is different. Their eyebrows are missing because their hair data is absent or corrupted, whilst their eyes will always be the default colour, brown. This happens when eye data is missing or corrupted. Skin tones actually come with their own eye textures. In the case of Max's default skin tones, these are the default brown eyes you see in the thumbnails. I call these dead eyes not just because they're common amongst the dead sims in Strangetown and Veronaville, but because When you control a sim and select an object, their head will appear in the middle of the pie menu. When you move your cursor, the sim's head and eyes should follow it. But in the case of these sims with corrupted faces, their eyes will not move. It's like they're lifeless or still dead. Super creepy, right? Loki's wife Circe's ancestors also have corrupted faces, among others. Many others. This includes some sims in a certain graveyard. Olive's garden is to Strangetown as Bella Goth's disappearance is to Pleasantview. The mystery surrounding the eternally resting residence of Olive Specter's do-it-yourself cemetery is an equally iconic piece of Sims lore. It's also outstanding in that it could easily be simultaneously the creepiest and the most borked feature of The Sims 2. Every single sim buried on this lot, not to mention the 2 sims whose graves were originally included only to go AWOL sometime in development, is impressively borked. For convenience, I've decided to rank them in my own personal order of borkedness. Yep, all 21 of Olive's alleged victims are worthy of having their names mentioned on this list. Although they do share one thing in common, they are all missing proper ghost flags that allows them to pass through walls and objects. Yep, even the ghosts are messed up. Jessica Abadi was a maid who must have seen a bit too much for Olive's liking, considering where she's ended up. She can be resurrected in game, which is a good sign that she is still linked and has data that's somewhat intact. Although, for some reason, I couldn't resurrect her in game even if I moved her grave first, so I don't know if maybe the Ultimate Collection has patched Olive's garden and rendered all sims unable to be touched. Anyway, Jessica has interests, skills, a personality, and functions normally as a maid NPC. Her only real oddity is that she remembers Danielle Greaves' death, despite the fact Jessica died quite a few sims after Danielle. But that's just a timeline or memory inconsistency, which isn't exactly uncommon for the base game hoods and isn't game or hood breaking. Like Jessica, Olive's alleged first victim Danielle Greaves can be resurrected normally, which is again a good sign. Danielle and Jessica are as okay as a sim buried in Olive's garden can be. Does this mean you should still resurrect them though? If you care about the long-term health and stability of your hoods, then it's still best not to start necromancing. Next is Benjamin Cho, Euthanasia, Paponi Muenda, and Brenda Zadie. Though there is nothing majorly or outwardly wrong with these sims, the Sims Wiki reports that they have damaged data and resurrecting them is unsafe. Rigor Mortis, one of Olive's late husbands, was going to be included in the previous list until I resurrected him and discovered he is apparently minus 180 days old. His other statistics and appearance appear to be fine, but as with the previously mentioned sims, Rigor also has damaged data. Similarly, Olive's most recent husband Ichabod Specter has a glitched age bar and is a minus 170 days old, whilst the rest of his data is, it's there. It's more than what can be said for a lot of these goats. Also, you might be able to see in the corner here that I kept getting this glitch where 2 sims were selected at once, and at one point the plumb bob was over Ichabod when it should have been over Rigor since he was selected. Anyway, just thought I'd point this out just in case it meant anything. Earl E. Demise, the man who dared leave Queen Olive Specter at the altar, is missing skin tone genetics. His data is otherwise okay-ish. It's low on the list only because A, it'll only affect any of his offspring, which isn't a massive problem unless you're planning on breeding him, and B, he's not the only one with DNA that's MIA in Strangetown. If Olive's mother Lorato Muenda shows up to haunt at night, her appearance will be randomized. This includes her outfit and sometimes even her face and hair. Her ghost is just kinda creepy as well. When I resurrected her to check her stats, her outfit was randomized again. It's possible that she was wearing an outfit that was not released with the game, and this could be why her outfit data is corrupted. She also has damaged data according to the Sims wiki. Likewise, Olive's former brother-in-law Timley Demise will have a completely randomized appearance because he has corrupted or missing data. He has a corrupted face like Loki and Cersei Beaker's ancestors, so his thumbnail shows him with no eyebrows and brown eyes, even though he should have dark blue. Euthanasia's brother Lou is not actually buried on the lot and thus can't be easily resurrected, but the reason why I decided to place him in the middle despite being unable to be played with is due to his absent grave. Judging by this pre-release photo shared by SimGuru Lindsay on Twitter, Euthanasia's grave did exist at some point, implying it got lost somehow or was deleted, and of course, graves are Sims. Deleting or destroying a grave or urn is akin to deleting Sims. This may explain why some of his data is missing, because his character file was shredded at some point. Let's head back to Olive's garden now, and return to Sims who have a grave. This is where it gets even creepier. Zeph Sadie was a repairman, another NPC killed, who spontaneously died in a totally not suspicious manner at all, who is very buggy. When I resurrected him, he was totally invisible, could not be located, and could not complete any actions, not even autonomously. I even tried to let one of his knees deplete to see if he would have any motive failure, but nothing happened. The Sims wiki states that he may turn invisible if he's brought back as or becomes a zombie, but it didn't make a difference whether he was a normal Sim or a zombie. His face, though corrupted, does appear fine in his thumbnail and in the pie menu, but he is otherwise invisible and unable to do anything. He does have stats though. Also, I didn't check this because I was trying to comprehend what was going on with him, but Seth is also 0 days old, apparently. Moving on. Deceased townie Patrick Jones is similar to Timley Demise in that he will have both a randomized appearance and corrupted face, meaning he has no eyebrows and presents with dead brown eyes when they should actually be blue. But unlike Tim, Patrick's data is a lot more borked. He's the first Sim on this list to have a blank personality, which is a pretty bad sign that a Sim's data has been damaged and is fractured somehow. SimPE cannot recognize his zodiac sign, and his DNA shows as blank and cannot open. On top of all that, Patrick has some very outdated data, namely that of the power aspiration. The power aspiration was a planned aspiration for the base game, however it was abandoned sometime in development and replaced with the grow up aspiration instead. Little is known about this aspiration, though it's speculated that it was something close to a hybrid of popularity and fortune, with power wants, such as defeat the Grim Reaper. Though scraps of its code can be found in the game data and is even referenced in-game by debug tools such as the Sim Modder, it should have been removed. Except, some of the Sims in Olive's graveyard and other hoods still have this should have been purged aspiration, such as Patrick Jones. Again, this is symptomatic of Strangetown being a testing ground where certain aspects that did not make it to the final released game were not updated, and so Strangetown shipped with incomplete and obsolete data. Another deceased townie, Luke Smith, shares the same aspiration and almost all the same features as Patrick Jones, such as a corrupted face, blank DNA, and blank personality. And by corrupted face, I don't just mean the blank brown eyes, second face template, and missing eyebrows. After changing his appearance in the mirror, Luke's face might become horribly disfigured, as seen in this picture. However, all that happened for me was that his eyes became light blue and his face template changed. Not only that, but while his appearance should suggest he is a teenage boy, his age data is corrupted and he is instead recognised by the game as being an adult. Vicky Sims appears as an adult female, but the game actually recognises her as an adult male. She will have male animations, a male voice, and she is capable of pollinating. Like Luke and Patrick, Vicky has a blank personality, inaccessible DNA in SimPE, and the power aspiration. Her face is corrupted too, in that it might change to a different template if she changes her appearance in the mirror, though it won't be glitchy. Combine Luke's mismatched age and Vicky's ambiguous gender, and you get Melissa Sims. Despite her thumbnail being that of a teenage girl, she is treated as an adult male. Her appearance is incredibly glitchy for other reasons too. The Sims wiki states that her body might vanish temporarily, her skin will change to the full skin tone, and her corrupted brown eyes will turn green, though all that happened to me was her body changed to the second skin tone and her eyes turned green. Once you return to the game, her body and original skin tone will reappear, however her eyes will remain green. Hidden in her character file is a portrait of her as an elder, wearing a hair not included in the game, which may explain her corrupted appearance data and why her hair is randomized. On top of all that, Melissa also has the power aspiration, no DNA in SimPE, and a blank personality. Very similar to Vicky Sims. Perhaps that's why they get along so well. Crayon Nigmos, the father of Ophelia Nigmos, has pretty much the same problems as other Sims on this list. Namely, his appearance will be different from his thumbnail because of his corrupted face, and interestingly, he will have light blue eyes instead of the typical shade of corruption brown when resurrected. His face will become glitchy and deformed if a player changes his appearance twice in the mirror. This corruption can be inherited by his offspring. Calipers and Tongs showcase this in one of their videos if you're interested in seeing what Crayon's offspring will look like. His age is also mismatched in that he appears as an elder but is recognized as an adult. This is also the case for Crayon's wife and Olive's sister, Willow Nigmos. Like her husband, Willow's face is corrupted and also very glitchy when her appearance is changed in the mirror. Her face corruption can also be inherited. Additionally, Willow had unlinked relationships with every dead Sim in Strangetown, except for Jessica Abadi and Danielle Greaves, as well as Bella Goth, who will be featured in the second part of this video. And now, the runner-up for the most Borked Specter in Olive's Garden Awards 2004 is Miss Lila Grunt. Lila was the ex-wife of General Buzz Grunt and mother of the 3 Grunt boys. Though she may not be the most borked Sim in the Spectre graveyard, she is still impressively problematic. A lot of the previous issues apply to her. Her face is corrupted in that she is both missing eyebrows and has dead brown eyes, even though she should have dark blue, and her appearance will become glitchy if changed in the mirror. Again, this corruption is genetic. I recommend watching Moni's video on Lila to find out more. She seems to have been made quite early in development based on the fact that she was created alongside the rest of her family and because her entire character file is in an outdated format. This is why her data is so corrupt and why her clothes will be randomized. Her thumbnail as an elder sim can be found hidden in her character file in SimPE, in which she uses an unused portrait pose not included in the final game. More evidence her character file was never updated. Like Willow, Lila has unlinked relationships with several other Sims buried in the graveyard, such as the Demise brothers or the Muenders, among others. And for some reason, she also has an unlinked relationship with Bella Goth. Before clean templates of the pre-made hoods were as widespread and accessible as they are today, a popular way of resurrecting ancestral Sims such as Lila without causing any more damage was to extract their appearance through SimPE and export them into Body Shop to create a clone to place in-game. However, this method is impossible to do for Lila because exporting her into Body Shop will crash the program. Trying to export Willow Nigmos causes the same issue. Finally, let's take a look into the winner of the most borked sim in Strangetown. If there were an award for being the most broken sim in the entire franchise, Knut would win it no problem. He is so broken and borked that it would be an injustice not to dedicate an entire section to him specifically. Knut was a delivery person, presumably intended to be one of Olive's victims, since she has a memory of his death, though his grave is absent from her cemetery. While an AWOL grave would be cause for concern on its own for any other sim, it's the least of Knut's problems. Though it's common for pre-made ancestral sims to have incomplete or partially shredded character data, the only data Knut has is for his appearance. Everything else is gone. No DNA, no interest, no personality, no aspiration, nothing. He's also technically not even properly dead because the flags and token indicating he is deceased are missing too. Luckily, trying to spawn him without setting his age data first in SimPE will fail and result in an error. Changing his age data in SimPE should fix this problem, but of course it is not recommended that you try to spawn him at all. If he is spawned, the game may randomize his personality and give him the unused power aspiration, though he will have no wants and fears, presumably because he's recognized as a baby. Even if you try to give him personality points using SimPE, the game will ignore it and continue to randomize it instead. His job data will also change very often, starting with this career panel in which he has all skills maxed, then he will pick up the skills of other members of the household. As a result of having no age data, the game will treat him as a baby, despite his appearance being of an adult male. If you have Bullpropon, you'll get a ton of errors because of the missing animations. You'll get these errors when other Sims try to interact with him for that reason. Changing his age to adult in SimPE may help with the adult baby problems, but he's unfortunately completely unfixable. In fact, Knut is so FUBAR that it is advised you never resurrect him, even when using a clean template. Not even the talent and skill of Meet Me to the River and more recently Dorsal Axe over on Mod the Sims could save him. Somehow, even after naming over 20 corrupted dead Sims, there are still more to cover. So here are some weird and buggy ancestral Sims who never really get much attention. I guess there's some tough competition in Strangetown though, so I thought it was time they got a share of the spotlight. Mary Mellons was the grandmother of General Buzz Grunt and great-grandmother of the Grunt Boys. Whilst browsing SimPE hoping to find interesting things for this video, I noticed that Mary showed up as unlinked. This was odd because Mary is very high up in the Grunt family tree, meaning she's long dead and, most of all, doesn't have a grave, yet she still has some remnants of character data. For reference, all the other ancestral Sims who lack graves are listed as having no character file and unlinked in SimPE, whilst ancestral Sims with graves are usually unlinked, with very few exceptions. Anyway, this essentially means that, along with Lila, Mary can in theory be resurrected. Not that she should be, but she can be. While it's pretty rare for such a long dead ancestral Sim to be kind of resurrectable, it's not even the weirdest part about Mary. For some reason, Jenny Smith considers Mary to be her sibling, though this is not reciprocated. However, Mary does consider herself to be the auntie of Jenny's children Johnny and Jill Smith. This is reciprocated. Not only that, but Vidcun Curious is apparently her brother, and Loki Beaker is her enemy, implying that she may have potentially been intended to be a member of the Curious family, perhaps as the 7th sibling? Or her data was overwritten or otherwise borked. Or all of the above. She also has ties to Annie and Ham Hogleg and thinks she's the daughter of Kitty Curious, which lines up with the theory that she was intended to be a member of the Curious clan. Somehow, even though she's convinced herself she's related to these Sims, Mary doesn't know her own lover, Mike Steele. You know, the guy she had a daughter with, the mother of General Buzzgrunt. An underrated mystery of Strangetown is that of Glabe Curious, though I guess it's not surprising her legacy gets buried compared to literally everything else in this town. Though she does not appear in the Curious family tree, it is implied that she was married to Glan Curious and raised his alien daughters, twins Chloe and Lola, when he abandoned them and got remarried to Kitty Curious, née Hogleg, with whom he had Jenny Smith and Pascal, Vidcun and Laszlo Curious. The reason I decided to pair Mary Mellons and Glabe Curious, ties to the Curious family, imaginary or not, aside, was because they both share something very weird about their character files. They're not considered people. Not in the same way universal NPCs are considered objects, however. Their object data is simply listed as unknown. Remember I said that Mary is just unlinked, so she could be resurrected? Yeah, if you're desperate to get her into your game, you'll have to fix her object data in SimPE first. Same with Glabe. I don't know what it is about the Curious family and weird family ties, but for some reason Annie and Ham Hogleg, parents of Kitty Curious, as well as Kitty, all recognise both Cersei and Loki as their children, despite the fact that A. Cersei and Loki are married and hopefully not blood related, and B. Do I need to explain how having more than 2 biological parents is impossible? Especially considering the relationships between those said 3 parents. Additionally, a lot of living and dead Sims in Strangetown have relationships with ancestral Sims that just make no sense and definitely should not exist. For example, the Grunt household has family ties with AJ Loner's ancestors, plus the Specter ancestors have relationships with Pollination Tech 9's ancestors, for some reason. It's all very messy, and if these relationships actually showed on the family trees in game, then they'd be a circle. Also, this wasn't planned, but check out how borked everything became when I resurrected Kitty Curious. Kitty was invisible and everyone froze. It was very weird. So, word of advice, maybe don't try to resurrect Kitty. Now, you may be asking yourself, but Tanny, if I don't resurrect or touch the deceased premade Sims in Strangetown, then there shouldn't be any problems, right? If only that were the case, and then there'd probably be no need for this video. But alas, poor Simmer. These dead Sims, even if left to rest in peace, which I absolutely implore you to do, and the shredded data dangling and floating around the hood can easily lead to issues later down the line through vehicles of corruption such as gossip, regardless of whether you touch them or not. Moreover, it's not just the dead Sims you need to worry about when it comes to Strangetown. Alright, well, I'm going to leave it here for now. The next part, or parts, maybe, will discuss the DNA issues, hidden Sims, borked townies, weird family ties and relationships, and a returning familiar face. I really hope I'll see you there. Before I go though, I just wanted to take a moment to thank everyone who subscribed or left such lovely comments, which I absolutely adore reading. I'm so grateful and admittedly kind of confused to see that people watched my videos so far and thought, oh hey, that wasn't totally a waste of half an hour of my life. I'm so glad I could entertain people with these videos because I love and care about this game so much, and it's so awesome that I now have all you amazing people to share it with. Like, I have got absolutely no idea where you've all come from, but I am so happy and my heart is so full. You know, the last time I uploaded a video, I had maybe 1 or 2 subscribers, and now I have almost 100, which I can't even believe I just said that. And it is true. Like, it doesn't feel real. I have a really good feeling about the future of this channel, so I cannot thank you guys enough for watching and caring about my content. And I really hope you'll be there in the future to see how this channel develops. I could probably go on and on about how much it means to me, but I feel like I've already rambled on a bit too much, so I'm going to stop here. As always, please stay safe, be good, and most of all, happy simming! Bye!